Welcome back to 3 Up, 3 Downs Divisional Breakdowns. We're wrapping up with our final team for the 2023 season, that being the Colorado Rockies, the team that plays up in the elevation, up in the Rockies, the Rockies. Let's take a look at what they did in the offseason. They added, in late free agency in March of 2023, they added Jurickson Profar to be that left fielder, a guy that could be a bit of a utility addition for this team. Otherwise, they added via free agency Mike Moustakas to be a third base infielder via the bench, Harold Castro potentially to be infield outfield utility player as well. And then in terms of the bullpen they added Pierce Johnson via free agency via the San Diego Padres, Brad Hand via the Philadelphia Phillies, and Brett Suter via waivers from Milwaukee. The Colorado Rockies. Let's take a look at this roster. As I said, Jackson Profar scheduled to be the left fielder and the leadoff role, followed by former Cubby But the fact is, Kris Bryant playing right field for this Rockies team after only hitting, I think, 5 home runs last year? I don't think he hit a single one in the Rockies park. Rockies fans are expecting a lot more out of Kris Bryant, followed by Charlie Blackmon at the DH spot, C.J. Cron at first, Ryan McMahon at second, Jonathan Diaza at center field, Montero at third base, Elias Diaz at catcher, and Tovar at shortstop. What do you got on this lineup, Alex?
I think it's pretty exciting. Kind of similar, a little different build, but similar to the Diamondbacks where this is a sneaky good offense. I think Jurickson Profar is just a fantastic signing. I know he was sitting out there seemingly way too long on the free agent market, and I don't know if the stats back this up, but I swear he dominates in Coors Field. I think he's a great Coors Field player, can kind of hit the ball to the gaps more than he has home run power, which plays in Coors Field. They have that huge outfield where the ball just seemingly, just flies around, dumps around out there. So I think he's going to be good. Kris Bryant has been mashing in spring training. I think they're going to look for a healthy and just a big year from him. I think he could live up to that. Blackmon, I don't know. He seemingly doesn't get old, so 270, 15 homers, 30 doubles, something like that. They'd be happy.
I think that's all you can ask for out of a Charlie Blackmon at this point.
He's still there. He's still there,
Yep.
C.J. Cron, underrated masher in the league. But one guy I want to key in on here, Ezequiel Tovar, kind of currently slated to be the 9-hole hitter. I think he's going to move up this lineup quickly. Maybe be the leadoff. He's a switch hitter. He has speed. He has some power, and he's got some batting average. I think it's kind of a weird comp, but I would say his comparison is what we thought Adalberto Mondesi was going to be, a guy who had power and could steal bases, maybe with a little less top-end speed, but a lot more contact ability.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited about him. I think he could be a sneaky 2020 type guy this year, and I would expect some triples, especially in Coors. So I like this lineup. I think there's some juice here. Yeah, I like it. And there's a couple guys who are expected to come back, like Randall Grichuk, who's a solid bat, and then Brendan Rodgers, a guy who hasn't developed to what they want him to be yet, but a guy who has a bat, Mm-hmm. He could, and I don't know when he's coming back exactly.
Did have a
torn labrum, so maybe not much of the year. But I like this lineup. I think it's good.
No, I agree with you. I think there's a little bit more power in this lineup versus what we were talking about with the Diamondbacks. Is it strong enough? I still have question marks. I think you gotta look for our X factor to be. I think it's gonna be pretty consistent on who it will be for this team. Let's take a look at the starting rotation, followed by Yermain Marquez at the ace role, followed by Kyle Freeland, Jose Urena, who was pitching for Team Mexico in the World Baseball Classic, Austin Gumber, and Ryan Feltner is the rotation. What do you got?
It's bad. It's really bad, and part of it is these pitchers always get inflated because it's Coors, and everyone knows that. Like the ERA is going to be bad unless you're just insanely good. I think the last good pitcher in for the Rockies was I'm forgetting his name. Do you know who I'm talking about? He was a Cy Young contender, and he always got blisters.
Yeah.
We'll follow up with that, but it's been a long time. This is 15 years ago, the last good pitcher. In terms of guys to watch here, German Marquez, a guy who seemingly they could have traded for the world a couple years ago when he had team control and was pitching a little bit better. He could have a good year. He's got good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Can kind of mix it up with a lot of pitches. Kyle Freeland is way better than he seems. He's actually a solid starting pitcher from Colorado, wants to be there, which not many pitchers do. Jose Urena, I mean, the only cool thing about him is that he spits water into the air before he pitches, and it looks cool. He does. It's kind of like the LeBron like baby powder
chalk,
thing, but he does it with like water out of his mouth. So that's something. Austin Gomber solid. Ryan Feltner not solid. And they're being saved a little bit because Antonio Senzatella is injured right now. That guy is a walking 6 runs in 2 innings starter. So I think that may make horrible rotation better, the fact that Senzatella is not playing. Not trying to be disrespectful. It's just the reality. So it's not a good rotation, and there's not much upside either.
No, I completely agree with you. I think stats will always be inflated playing at Coors Field. I think Yerman Marquez has been a guy who is actually excellent. One of the better pitchers to play at Coors Field, but then he leaves and goes obviously out of the state when the team travels, and it just doesn't seem like the results maybe translate. But let's take a look at the bullpen. The bullpen is led off in the closer role by Daniel Bard, followed by Pierce Johnson, who they acquired via free agency. Lamet in the relief role, Brad Hand, Justin Lawrence, Brett Suter, Ty Black, and Connor Siebold. What do you got on this Colorado Rockies bullpen?
Yeah, so Daniel Bard is interesting. Formerly like this up-and-coming young gun for the Red Sox, flamethrower. Had a lot of injuries, was off the field for a while, came back, and has had a good resurgence. I mean, he's striking guys out at a pretty high clip, looking like he's going to be a solid closer, potentially trade bait at the deadline.
Yeah.
Dinelson Lamet is another guy I want to touch on. I mean, I think if you follow prospects, you know the name. He came up with the Padres, and he had all his potential and was a starter. Got hurt a lot and seemingly just could never put it all together. But a guy, again, when you're looking at somebody transition to the bullpen, things change a little bit. And Colorado's not the best place to discover your pitching form, but it is the place he's in. I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a kind of Reynaldo Lopez type year where
could happen.
Former top prospect starter really finds a really good role as a good reliever.
Finds comfortability. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not horrible. It's not good though.
No,
again, they're looking for a breakout to trade.
Yep, and it's as we move into our projections, I think this is another piece of the roster that could be kind of trade bait for this team, depending on what happens. I don't see them being too competitive in this division, but let's take a look at our X factor. I'm going to lead us off, and I'm picking the obvious one. It's got to be Kris Bryant. The fact is they spent all the money for him. They brought him in. He hit barely anything last year. I know he struggled to stay healthy. You need him to stay healthy, and you need him to produce at the MVP caliber that he has. And if he does, then you can start accelerating the rebuild in this process. That's what the thought process was when they signed Kris Bryant last offseason. It didn't deliver. They weren't able to excel, and they didn't feel aggressive enough to continue the hunt and spending big money this offseason. So, Kris Bryant, you need to step up and deliver for this Colorado Rockies organization.
Yeah, I like the pick. I think the amount of money they committed to get nothing back last year, it's a great pick. They need him to do something, or else the rebuild's looking like, we tied up all this money and we don't have a player there.
Yep.
So good pick. My X factor is going to be Ezequiel Tovar, a guy I touched on in the lineup, and I'm just high on him for this year. I think his play style profiles super well in Coors. Got that mid-range pop and some speed to go with it. I think he's going to be a fun player to watch. He's going to be 21, 22 this season. I think we're just going to see a lot of highlight plays, like a lot of those like fun triples where he's just busting around the bases, gets down, hypes the team up. Look for him to be batting towards the top lineup, maybe the leadoff hitter. And I think if he has a good year, Kris Bryant has a good year, CJ Cron has a good year, all of a sudden you're looking at like kind of a small little core there to start moving in Colorado.
I completely agree. I think that's a great pick. The organization's second-ranked prospect coming into this season. They're expecting a lot out of Ezequiel Tovar, so we'll see what happens. But let's get into our predictions. We've already predicted that the Giants are going to finish 5th, and we've already predicted the rest of the division, so you can obviously slate this team. I think it's going to be a tight divisional race between the Giants and the Rockies for 4th and 5th, but maybe, just maybe, Kris Bryant has an excellent year. Just maybe this roster gels enough to beat the Giants out for 4th place. But this is where I've got them, going 4th place with the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, I think we followed each other's picks this whole division. So we're on the same page.
Great minds think alike.
Exactly. I got them finishing 4th too. I'm not too sold on the Giants, even though I'm ready for the Giants have better pitching, and that's the big difference in this debate for 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
But I like this lineup. I think it's going to be kind of a fun lineup. I think there's going to be runs. Obviously, it's Coors, but runs relative to other people at Coors too. I think it's going to be good.
Absolutely. Well, people, Colorado Rocky fans, if you feel like we've missed anything, feel free to hop into the comments directly below. Give us your X Factor. Give us your critique. What do you think is going to gel this team together to potentially make a race in the NL West? Personally, we don't think so, but maybe you do. So hop in the comments. Let us know. We'll be happy to interact with you guys. Otherwise, we appreciate you guys tuning in to 3 Up, 3 Downs 2023 divisional breakdowns. We've gone through all the teams in the league. It's been a fun one. We are super excited for this 2023 MLB season to kick off here on Thursday, the 30th of March. If you feel like you've enjoyed 3 Up, 3 Downs content so far coming up into the beginning of this season, hit the subscribe button directly below this video. And please, if you feel like you've liked the video, give us a like. Alex, anything to send her off before we head into the season?
Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed all the breakdowns. We put a lot of work into this, and I don't know. It should be a fun season. We'll be following along with you guys. If you guys want to see anything, we're working on a new set here. So if you're watching on YouTube,
it's coming together.
Or see a clip somewhere, I mean, we got this whole setup here, and we're thinking about getting some new jerseys, maybe mixing in some teams here. So if there's anything you want to see, any exciting stuff, let us know. We're happy to hear.
Absolutely. Otherwise, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We're excited for the MLB season to start Thursday. Like we said, give all the Star 6 Media content a follow on all social media platforms. Otherwise, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and have a great rest of your night.